This week's lesson is on perception. It's a core fundamental tenet of what we do in healed mind therapy. So, one of the things we teach is that everything that causes you suffering or everything that causes you happiness and peace is based on your perception. Your perception is subjective. It's created from your experiences, your traumas, social conditioning, even media, and what you watched on TV when you were a kid. But the perceptions come from your beliefs, your core beliefs, like I'm not lovable, the belief that there's bad people in the world, that you're not safe, that you need to do certain things to be safe. These are all beliefs, as well as from your experiences. That would be your traumas, and then also expectations that you're putting on yourself because someone else put expectations on you, and you've learned, or they've modeled for you high expectations for themselves, and now you're putting them on yourself. But at the end of the day, it's our perception. When we come down to the thought that all suffering comes from our perception, we stop looking outside of ourselves to stop suffering. Instead, we go within. This is where this is where heaven is found. This is where a mind that has perfect peace is found. We go within and we look at our thoughts and we change the perception with which we're viewing, because any thought that's causing you suffering is not real. Any thought that says you're not enough, they're not enough, is causing harm. And when we can see the perception is the issue and we correct that, you no longer need other people to change for you to have peace. No longer need your car to work for you to have a good day. You no longer need other people to show up in a certain way for you to have joy. And this is the power of being in control of your mind and your perception. So your perception is what creates your reality. If you don't like the reality you're seeing, we're going to be changing our perception. How do we change our perception? This is one of the biggest things that's asked of me, because people, especially when they start this work, they'll do it a little bit and they're like, oh my gosh, I can see how this could work, but how do I recondition my whole mind? Well, it takes work. It takes practice. It takes certain situations that happen for you to come up and for you to look at them, for you to get triggered and then look at it. And this is why when we get triggered, it's really important on this path not to be hard on ourselves and not to attack ourselves for what is our best, but rather say, oh, I was triggered. Yay, there's something for me to heal. And be able to look at it. And then it's about the practice of changing the perception. When you change the perception over and over and over again, eventually your perception will change. But we have to consciously do that first for it to become an automatic thought that has a healed perception. So it's practice, it's repetition, it's reminding yourself. And also, too, when we share with other people, that helps us to reinforce these shifts. So when you see a cognitive distortion that you have, or you have a thought or a perception that's caused you suffering, and then you work through it, say you meditate through it, you see it differently, going back to that person and saying, hey, I noticed that when you said this, I pulled away and I shut down. I want to tell you what I worked through. And be able to tell them, okay, so at first I perceived it as an attack, but then I thought about it and I realized that you have things going on and that maybe you were perceiving attack and that somehow that this was your best. And I want you to know that the way I responded was not how I want to respond. In the future, this is how I want to do it differently. I want to be able to say, hey, I love you and I understand this is your best right now. And this is how I'm feeling. Are you open to helping me with this? Are you open to changing this? So being able to correct yourself with your loved ones will help reinforce this path. And you're also going to be modeling for them how they can create changes in their life. Because ultimately our suffering is based on our perception and we can change our perception. So this means that you can have complete power and control over whether or not you suffer. Now, control maybe is not the most alignment word that I'm trying to say, but you are it's in your responsibility. It's within your control to change. But there's no pressure. If you are struggling with your perception, if you are still falling into the old patterns, that's okay. You'll just keep being there until you have enough motivation, sometimes in the form of suffering, to change. And that's part of why all suffering is a blessing as well, too, because it is what shapes us and helps us to have the motivation to change the perception and change our lives. So be gentle with yourself if your perception is causing you suffering, but also know that in time, with practice and patience and a whole lot of love, you can change the way you perceive and choose perfect peace in every moment.